giving kids phones. I know we kind of talked about that pre-show. We'll go ahead and play this clip and get you guys' thoughts. I like this perspective because this is something that I didn't introduce, but it may be something that we probably should do. It may be too late for some, but hey, you never know. We the parents, right? Everybody got kids on the panel?
I got two.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go.
Somebody asked me what my philosophy was on giving kids phones. Well, if you care, here it is. We didn't give our kids phones, but when they became teenagers, we did give them access to phones that they could use so that we can keep in contact with them, and they were allowed to keep those phones with them. Now, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that at no point did we ever indicate to them that this was their property that they had a right to. No, it was our property that we were letting them use. So what was the benefits of this? Well, one, they were grateful because they got to use a phone. And two, we never had any sort of issues with them getting mad at mom and dad for violating their privacy, because after all, it was our phone. And if we needed to inspect it or take it back, well, that was just mommy and daddy reclaiming their property. So in the end, we didn't have any issues. Now, did we run in there every single time like some sort of secret police agency demanding to see their phones? No. Well, sometimes.
All right. Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Just speak on it if you want to speak on this, man. I ain't gonna go around the panel, but I like that, man. Bring me my phone. Bring me my phone. Because think about it. When the kids get in trouble, we always say, "I'm gonna take your phone. I'm gonna take your phone from you." Let me get your guys' thoughts, man. Chime in if you want to. What you think is something we should be doing? We probably should have started a long time ago, right?
Yeah, it's already too late for that.
Yeah, you know what? I gave my children phones probably for about 2 years now, and the ages are 12 and 14. So, and that's just for like emergency purposes, really, right? Because you want to be able to contact them, you want them to be able to reach you, because a lot of times you'll have them at different places, events, or just even at somebody's house where you're like, listen, hit me up when you have an issue, or you need to answer that phone when I call you so I know what's going on. Unfortunately, they they use it a little bit more than that, but there's always a balance, right? So I think that what he's doing, I never tell people how to parent, right? So if that's how he want to do it, it sounds a little militant to me, but if it works for him, it works for him. As far as it being their property, I'm like, damn, that's kind of like, it is what it is, man. I give my children some freedom, right? If they abuse any type of privilege, then you're gonna lose it. There are times where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm taking your phone. If you don't answer, oh yeah, you won't answer me, then you're not gonna have your phone. And you try to monitor the amount of time that they spend on it. It's hard to keep them out of social media nowadays, but you better off just kind of keeping them into other things, right? Keeping them into activities. And the way that I try to balance that is, I don't really care what you do with your spare time, right? If that's what you want to do, just make sure that you're going to do this. We have certain extracurricular activities that we have them do to build yourself and build your character. I make sure that all of that is taken care of. You have to have good grades, right? Both kids are on honor roll, so they doing their thing. I'm not really tripping on it. I'll let them do what they want with their extra time. If that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it. And for the most part, I've been able to trust them. They're not into the wrong things on the phone, from what I understand, anyways. And just by looking at their behavior and how they are, they're managing it well, in my personal opinion. So, it all depends on what type of children that you built, right? So if you have children that you really haven't done what you were supposed to do when they were younger, and now they out here doing what they want to do, then you might have to monitor that a little bit more. But if you're giving them a solid foundation off rip, and they understand values and understand how to better themselves, then I don't think it's really a problem to give them their phone, let them do what they do. Sometimes they could talk to their friends and stuff like that. But it's all a balance. Even with a lot of things that they learn from the phones, I introduce them to most things. I'm not afraid to talk to my children about sex. I'm not afraid to talk to my children about how people are, and show them the things of the world, and a lot of things that are out, like what your Sukianas and Sexy Reds and all that. I talk to them about these types of people that you're going to see, and I say, look, well, what do you think about this? And they understand that a lot of this is for entertainment, and it's not our values. They understand that To them, they don't really care about any of the. They're not interested in that. They understand it's a spectacle, but they don't want to emulate those type of behaviors that they witness. So I feel like it's all a balance, in my opinion.
I definitely want to add after what he said. I think the idea that the guy presented in the video, I mean, is great. Honestly, I think it's fantastic. To be honest, I think it's a wonderful idea. Like when I just look at like how I was growing up and how my parents raised me, and I look at like certain situations, like from when I first started driving. When I first started driving, I didn't have my own car. I had to drive their car, so I had to learn certain things. Like I got to bring the car back at a certain time. I got to put gas in it, and there's certain things I understood because, like, yo, even though I have full access to it, it's like, yo, this is still not yours. So there's a limit, right? And I feel like with these kids, the problem is they have too many ways to feel like something is theirs, and then they start feeling kind of like they run the show. Like they start feeling like, oh, this is mine. I could do what I want with it. But it's like, is it really yours? You didn't buy it. You didn't pay for it. You don't pay the bill for it. So I love that he keeps the line clear as far as it being like, yo, this is ours and we're letting you use it. You live here in our home. If you want to use a car, you can use our car, because it reminds these kids that they don't have all the power, that they can't just do what they want. They got to be careful what they do on their phone. And it just keeps that little bit of distance that I think is perfect, especially dealing with these kids today who I feel like have a lot of freedom, especially when you look at the phones as far as like internet access. You look at what they could pull up on YouTube. You look at pornography. You look at all the things that they can pull up. When it's their phone, like he said, if you try to ask them to hand over their phone, now they feel as though you're violating their personal space. And now you have a whole different issue. Whereas if the phone never belongs to them to begin with, you're not violating nobody's personal space. They just got to hand over what don't belong to them anyway. You can investigate it as much as you need to investigate it with no worries of them feeling like you're violating their personal space. And it gives a parent, some semblance of control in a chaotic world where, they don't even have control over what their kids are going to learn in school, where the kids are learning like literally that they could call CPS to get to anytime they disagree with something that their parents say. I feel like it's a great thing for parents to have that level of control while still allowing the kids a certain level of freedom.
What's crazy, Big Clout? You said something about making them feel like that they feel like you're violating their personal space. I tell my kids all the time, I am absolutely violating your personal space right now. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Just know, like in the instance where he was talking about how give me my phone. No, I say give me your phone. My kids know I can go through your phone any moment, anytime I feel like it. Anytime I feel like it. I don't care. I'm just letting you know up front this is gonna happen. Because you know what I mean? Like you got to keep an eye on certain things that may or may not take place in your children's lives. So I tell them all the time, you know what I mean? Hey, yes, I'm absolutely violating your personal space. But when I'm responsible for you, that's my job to violate your personal space, because I have to be responsible for the things that you do out there in the world. I have to be responsible for the things that happen to you out there in the world. So yeah, and then it's the church that you brought up, the fact that like they're treated like it's their own, right? So my son, me and his mom bought him a PS5, right? And then my wife got me one for Christmas. And so we went over to a friend's house for the 4th of July for a little 4th of July party, and my friend, he got a PS5. It was just a tripped out story because I sat there and he was letting my boys play his PS5 and everything. And I sat there, I was gonna tell him, I was like, hey, treat that PS5 like it's your own. Then I had to pause and was like, no, maybe I don't want you to treat it like it's mine. Because if I tell you to treat it like your own, you can go up there and dog that man's PS5 out. And I had to let him know. I said, if you do anything to that man's PS5, if it come up broke, I'm giving him yours. So, you know what I mean? That made him go up there and actually treat it like it belonged to somebody else and not his. Because kids don't, a lot of the times, how many phones do kids go through all the time that stairs and they break a phone every year? So, yeah, that's all I really got to say about it.